isn't it their responsibility to tell the president, look, something is missing here. The outreach is very impressive. You got a Nobel Prize
but he hasn't reached anybody.
But the other side is not reacting to it.
He hasn't reached anybody. In Tehran, he hasn't enticed any Iranian official to offer to meet him halfway in Geneva, physically halfway, to talk on neutral territory about the American-Iranian confrontation. His policy towards Iran has not borne any fruit whatsoever until this very day.
My main fear is what I've said on your show more than half a year ago, that President Obama, as peace-loving as he is, can turn out to be quite the opposite by sheer disappointment, by sheer frustration, by realizing that he has been mocked at by those forces. He was, like you said, he was trying to outreach and propose peace.
Reach out. There's a difference between outreach and reach out. Outreach, you can use that in the more positive sense, but to reach out in the sense that President Obama wants to reach out to the Iranians is to dispel their suspicion and their antagonism and their animosity and show, actually, we Americans are very nice people and you can get along with us. But since you mentioned where it could lead, I always like to wind up this phase of a discussion with historical precedent. And there we have the case of Neville Chamberlain, who reached out to Adolf Hitler, who met him in Munich, and agreed to hand over, to let the Germans actually take the Czech Sudetenland, and that opened the doors to hell, namely World War II. And when he decided that he had to uphold the treaty that had been drafted and signed by Great Britain, France, and Poland to defend Poland, and he unleashed the British Army, the initial phase of World War II was not a picnic for the British forces.
But before that, you have to mention that after the agreement concerning the Sudetenland, Hitler quite virtually spat upon Chamberlain by in a few months later taking over the whole of Czechoslovakia.
Looks to me as if the Iranians are spitting in America's face right now. That's what it comes down to. If you listen to
and this is my basic fear, that the reach out you are talking about will turn into such bitterness that it can breed violence.
Joining us by remote control is our friend and colleague Jamil Hamad of Time magazine, and we have a million questions to put to him. We'd like to hear his explanations of the Palestinian Authority's policy in this stalled peace process, especially since the chairman of the authority, or the president of the authority, however you want to translate the Arabic word Rais, Mahmoud Abbas, also known as Abu Mazen, lately has said that the resumption of talks with Israel must be based on the 1967 line. I don't know if that's realistic. I don't know if Israel will agree. I don't know if such a condition is necessary. Can you explain why he is saying a thing like that?
I think there is no reason for his remarks about negotiations. The reason, if we have to find a reason, I think he is in a very critical situation. His popularity is below zero, and he is trying to run away to escape the current situation by going to other battles.
But he's also demanding a complete and total halt to construction work in existing Jewish settlements in the West Bank. This after the Prime Minister of Israel agreed to a kind of a conditional halt, which would allow the continuation of projects for what he calls natural growth and public institutions. But Abu Mazen, President Mahmoud Abbas, doesn't buy that. He wants a total, complete suspension, and he doesn't even want a 10-month limit on the Israeli suspension of construction work. So this sounds like tough talk from a leader who thinks he has power.
Look, Jay, I think Abu Mazen is in trouble. And he doesn't understand that the question is not halting the building of settlement. It's the settlements themselves. And the question which should be asked to Abu Mazen, why he continued negotiating the former Prime Minister of Israel, Olmert, for 3 years while the Israelis were building settlements. Why he continued to negotiate and the settlements were going on. Now, what happened that he awakened now and discovered that the settlements should be stopped?
Well, I can speak only for the Israeli side, not because I'm a representative of any Israeli body or group, but because I believe I have a thorough understanding of this particular side or puzzle of the game. And the Israelis who bother to analyze the situation are puzzled by Abu Mazen's declaration that we have to go back to the pre-67 borders and so on and so forth. And the reason why they are puzzled is that it is an impossibility. There are over 300,000 settlers, Jewish settlers, in the West Bank, and I don't see any Israeli prime minister as strong as you can imagine who can untangle the situation as it stands. On my way to the studio here in Tel Aviv, I saw placards on the walls, new one, just put yesterday night, signed by rabbis here and there, that this is the Holy Land and you can't give even 1 square centimeter back and you have to settle more and more and more and more, which is ludicrous in and of itself. But then to think that you can evacuate 300,000 Israeli Jews back to the pre-67 borders is I don't know. I don't have enough words to describe to you how ridiculous it is from an Israeli standpoint. So what then? I don't know.
Look, I think Abu Mazen was cheated by President Obama, and he relied too much on the American administration that the Americans are going to remove the settlements, the Americans are going to stop building the settlements, and he discovered lately that relying on the Americans